Hello, this is Tom Cloud with a special update for SRS listeners. Steve St. Angelo and I had a long conversation on Monday, and he asked if I would come on and bring y'all some of the information that I brought to him. Certainly, I want to tip my hat to Steve, and we started talking about the oil falling 3 years ago, and he sent me a lot of data, and he's written a lot of articles. Man, oh man, what kind of money have people made that went short oil? I mean, it's amazing when I think of y'all, the SRS listeners that call me and said, did you get in on that deal? So, Steve, our hats off to you, and what an incredible investment call to say oil was going to go down as fast as it did. Well, I've been doing this 44 years in precious metals, and I have never seen anything like it. The U.S. Mint is down. The Royal Canadian Mint, where we do a lot of business, is down. There's nobody selling gold as an investor, and we cannot find it hardly. And I had 3 friends call last week saying, I'll pay you 1% to just buy gold and silver from your sources because our sources have cut us off. Everybody's looking for it, and like I said, nobody's selling. Central banks are buying. I've talked about this many times. If central banks are buying, why are you not buying? Then you've got the issue of a diversified portfolio. Stocks are down 20%, gold's up 15% since January the 1st. There's a 35% difference in those two investments. Am I saying you should have all gold and no stocks? No, not at all. I'm talking about a diversified portfolio where you have different things that go up or down based on different things that happen in the economies. And then certainly when you look now at this coronavirus, and we find out yesterday, I'm recording this on the 21st of April, that the GDP for the second quarter that's just started is estimated to be negative 30%. A GDP losing 30% in one quarter. The devastation this is, and stockbrokers act like it's nothing. Things have changed forever. They're never going to be the same again. You're going to have restaurants that are going to have half the people because of social distancing. We have people that are clients of ours that own restaurants that are thinking about how they're going to continue. Your airlines losing $350 billion in a month. Money doesn't grow on trees. People are not traveling. Travel is not going right back up real quick. Why would you hold those kind of stocks? And the biggest issue that I get the most calls on from the wealthy clients of mine are where do they put their money market? If you go out of stocks, put it in your money market, you've got a choice. You put it into commercial paper or you put it into treasury bills. Put it into treasury bills. The United States government's credit isn't what it used to be and getting worse every day, but it's still considered that the U.S. will pay you. So it makes no difference what interest you're making. Do not put it in commercial paper. Commercial paper is unsecured loans to good companies. There are many good companies that your brokerage firm loans that money to. They make a little bit, and the company makes a little bit on it, and these big companies, airlines, they borrow your money. But remember, there have been write-downs in commercial paper. I'm just trying to save you a heartache. Yeah, the odds are it might not happen, but you're not playing odds. You're playing your hard-earned money for the last 20, 30, 40 years. Like I said, I've been doing this 44 years. I started this company in 1976. I've never been more scared to have money in the bank than I am today. I had a client the other day put a lot of money, I just say millions, out of banking system and into precious metals. He said, Tom, I could care less if I lose 1 or 2%. I could care less. He says, like a negative interest rate. People in Germany and Japan and China are buying, they're paying the government to hold their money. You ever heard of such a thing? And then the issue of who owns your money in the bank. Just go back to 2015, I think it was, when it's the bail in and bail out. The U.S. government said we'll never bail banks out again. So then they changed the law that the money you have is the bank's. You're a preferred creditor, but it's the bank's. If they want to take your money like they did in Cyprus, they just take it. So I'm telling you, if you've got over 250 grand, and they could go way down below that, but that's just the insurance. But the FDIC is a joke. They have less than, I think it's 0.2% or 0.3% assets to cover the amount of money they have insured in the banking system. And let me tell you, the minute China and Russia, or China by themselves, come out with a yuan-backed gold currency, it may not be for 100%, but if it's 25% or 40% that we're hearing in the marketplace, that's a lot better than nothing. So where are you going to keep your money? In a bank account here, secured by commercial paper, which is nothing, or you're going to move it to a yuan currency backed by gold. And you'll be able to do that through mutual funds. It's going to be easy to do, and people by the trillions are going to do it. And if Russia joins China in this, since they're the two central banks that are buying the most gold every month, there's such a shortage of 400-ounce commercial gold bars. We had a client 2 weeks ago trying to buy a 400-ounce commercial gold bar for like $700,000, $660,000, I think it was. We couldn't find one, not one. I mean, it is unbelievable. But you have got to realize things are never going to be the same. There could be another round of the coronavirus next year as this thing comes. Maybe they'll come with a vaccine that works, but things still aren't going to catch up. And remember, we already know the second quarter that we're in is going to be minus 20, 30, 40% GDP. The next quarter is going to be bad. So then we go into a depression. There used to be a joke around. A recession is when your neighbor lost their job. A depression was when you lost your job. Well, we're going to officially be in a depression by the end of the year. Things may be looking a little better, but we're going to be in a depression. And at some point, all this money that's being done, we called it Bernanke helicopters in the 2008, 2012, when Bernanke was dropping and printing money like crazy. Well, Trump makes him look like a sissy. Let me tell you right now, we're 6 months into fiscal 2020. It ended on March 31st. So we're halfway through. We've already hit the largest deficit in world history of any country, and we have 6 months to go. Morgan Stanley said 2 weeks ago they look for the federal budget deficit to be $4 trillion. It's never been over 1.7. So as they print that money, it devalues the currency and the dollar drops, and gold, because it's a monetary metal, goes straight up. And that's what's going on right now. Gold will hit a new all-time high, and probably this year, but no later than the first quarter next year, from things I'm hearing. We're at 1730 as I record this on gold. It's only $150 away. That could happen in no time. It's already gone up $225 this year. So then when it gets, maybe there's a pullback, but we think we'll see $2,000 gold by March. And that is an incredible opportunity for you. We saw that the world assets hit 470 trillion at the end of last year with only 65 basis points of the value of investments in this world were gold. Now we see after 3 months, it's doubled in value. Part of it's because it's gone up. Part of it's because other stuff has come down. But gold will end up at 4 or 5%, just as it did in 2011 and 12. So another opportunity why you need to be buying. And then I advise you, if you don't go to usdebtclock.org regularly, I beg you, go to usdebtclock.org and look at the numbers. How much each taxpayer is in debt, how much each person's in debt by the budget deficit of the United States of America. So go in there and look. Silver I'm going to leave because I don't have time. It's down 14%, while gold's up 15% this year because everybody's expecting a recession. The electric car development will slow down. The solar panels will slow down. The things that are going to send silver to astronomical numbers and not the too distant futures, all this money being printed goes through the market and starts getting velocity. And as it gets velocity, it starts printing money through different, like the Monetary Control Act of 1980, where you use fractional banking system. So the banks are creating money, the government's creating money, everybody's creating money. Paper money, fiat currency, money by the creek, worthless toilet tissue, all the same thing. So what you've got to be ready for is to take advantage of this and get your money out of these banks. If you're going to leave it in brokerage accounts, be sure it's in treasuries. And silver, when it comes back, it's going to roar back. At the end of this year, the velocity from all this money created out of thin air is going to start causing interest rates to go up. It's going to cause bonds to go down. And you want to have safety first, because a lot of us baby boomers, we don't have time to redo and wait on something that lost 5 years for it to come back to where it was, like we saw in the financial crisis. So be smart now. Be a good steward of what God has given you to manage. Pray about it. Think about it. Use common sense. Talk to friends. Talk to other people. Get other ideas. But diversify your money, please. And don't keep it in stock as heavily as you are. Because the stock market is long drawn out. I was talking to an employee at Disney, I think it was Monday, and he's in management. He's been furloughed, as have 100,000 people been furloughed from Disney. And this is just a ripple through the world. So I want to close this up, and we'll come back in 2 or 3 weeks and give you another update. But let me tell you, it's hardly anything to buy. Premiums are high, but I still urge you to buy while you can. Delivery is 3 or 4 weeks backed up on most products, but we have some great specials right now. Call me or Dan at 800-247-2812. Mention that you saw us on SRS Rocco. You'll get full free shipping for life once you get in our system. And if you're looking for storage, we're the lowest storage company in the world. I know it sounds funny. We're so low, we're not even allowed to mention. So if you don't want to take delivery and you want to leave it, we've arranged in one of the three of the 9 COMEX warehouses in the world for you to have the lowest rate, lower than ETFs, lower than anybody. So you can store in Canada, you can store in Delaware, you can store in Texas, but you can, and we'll ship it there free, and you can have it on a certificate, and they charge you 10, well, Texas is a little more, and 10 basis points, well, I can't go into that right now. So just be sure you call us about our storage program. We'll send you a brochure on it. And also, our fastest point growing part of our business are all these baby boomers coming out of 401ks, and they're putting into 2 self-directed IRAs. One for precious metals called precious metals self-directed IRAs, and the other, of course, is a traditional stock and bond. But you take some, you can split them and have 2 IRAs when you roll out of your 401k as you retire. And we can help you be your custodian. I mean, we cannot be your custodian. We can be your broker and representative. So call us at 800-247-2812, and Dan and I will help you with the custodian. We'll give you 2 or 3 to look at, and then once you get that, we'll work with you on what percentage you want in gold and silver, platinum, palladium, and then you can have a self-directed precious metals IRA. So we've given you some ideas. We're look at these opportunities. We got to think of the glass being half full. Yes, this country will come back, but no, it will never have. It's going to lose a large market share of investments. And when these currencies roll out, we've already seen the dollar come down from 123 to below 100, and gold is going straight up with it. So anyway, hopefully you'll give us a call. I'll come back with a special report in a few weeks. And I just pray and hope that your family's well, you're well, and get your investing well. With a special report for SRS, this is Tom Cloud signing out.